Looks like we should be good to go.
All right. Well, I'll call this meeting to order. This is a special call meeting of the Butler County Project Development Board. I'd like to welcome everyone this morning and thank you all for coming out. Our first item of business this morning is a roll call. Kevin Phelps.
Here.
Colton Gibbons.
Here.
Melissa Cardwell.
Here.
Judge Coleman.
Here.
Judge Vincent.
Here.
All right, we have everyone present this morning. Our next item of business is approval of a regular scheduled call meeting minutes from 2:15 and approval of our executive meeting minutes 2:21.
I move we approve them as presented.
A motion by Kevin.
Second.
Second.
Who's second? Judge Vincent?
I think I outraced Melissa that time.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion and a second to approve both minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor of the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries. So our next is architect update. The street right away, I can address that to the board. Right now, the way the street stands, it's a state owns that piece of the road there coming up on Ohio Street. They are saying that they are going to deed that over to the city, and the city says that there shouldn't be any problem with the right of way and what we need there once they do that. But they haven't given us a timeline or anything on when that's going to take place.
Of course not. No. Is there anyone we can call to give grief to?
Possibly Joe Plump, District 4 area manager. He's the one that's over. I tried to call him yesterday and he was busy with meetings yesterday, so I'll try to get back in touch with him again today. And I possibly will see him this afternoon. We have a transportation meeting at Brad this afternoon, so he's most of the time he's there. Is there anything else that other than the timeline on the right of way, on the street right of way, dealing with the state, that you all want me to address with them?
Just a question, maybe. So when you spoke to the city about it and you said it shouldn't be a problem, was there anything discussed specifically about how much room they might want for the right of way, or?
No, I think that what was that the right of way down there, that was the state has got a pretty wide right.
Oh yeah, it's like 60, 30
Yeah.
feet each way or something. It's way more than you would functionally need that we could see,
Mhm.
So yeah, obviously we can get it to the back of the curb, we take it, but back of the sidewalk, anything minimal would be nice. And I think one of the things, just a reminder that was discussed, I believe at the last meeting, the one before, is if for some reason they needed more space for future needs or something, there's nothing says it has to be dead center on the road. You could have a narrower right of way on the building side and a wider one on the other side if they needed some more space, because that's just the parking area over there. It'd be a lot easier to give them a right of way over there because it would not impact the development of the building on the north side. So that's an option for them if they wanted to compromise and didn't want to give you a really tight right of way. They could widen it on the other side. I mean, that's entirely up to them, but it's something they could do. I've seen that happen before.
When I speak to them, I'll allude to that the building side is where we need the most of the space.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to keep the 30 feet on the other side, it really wouldn't impact. It wouldn't keep us from paving and putting parking and that sort of thing there. It's really just a hard building that's the problem.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. I'll talk to the mayor on that too.
Okay.
I personally, I don't foresee it being a problem, but,
Mhm.
the thing, it'll have to go before the city council. The mayor is good with it, so usually when he's good with it, the city council is too, so. Well,
Right. Yeah. It just impacts on our side exactly, our ability to lay out the site because, we're going to want to push it that way as far as we possibly can.
yeah.
So, till we know that, we won't really know, we won't be able to lay it out. So,
Okay.
okay. And that's all we've got. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have a question. Is there any way that you guys from the architect side can let the judge executive know exactly how much space you absolutely need? So when he talks to the city, he can say, hey, we need at least, 8 feet out of that 60 or whatever. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's more, because we don't really have an absolute dimension on the street. I think the best way to do it would be to, let's say we have a 5-foot sidewalk down that side. If we could do the back of the sidewalk, we obviously won't have a building, there. So then the surveyor would just have to come up with the actual number based on that. But, that's really all we're looking for is try to push it over as close as we possibly can. Because the hard construction that's going to go on that side is really going to be the judge's parking. There'll be a fence around that or a brick fence or a gate. So all we're trying to do is push that up as far as we can, because that will then allow the building to go with it. So that's really all we would need to know. And then the surveyor could lay that out accordingly and come in an actual number. But what we've got now comes way past the sidewalk onto the grass, and therefore that limits where the building can be. So we know we were intending to put a sidewalk there. So a lot of times that's how it's identified, the back of the sidewalk, for example. So that would be the simplest way to describe it without giving a precise number at this point.
Well, I think I mentioned before, I think if we could present them with the drawing exactly what is in our best advantage, we're more likely to get them to agree with something we present them than try to negotiate something kind of in theory.
Okay.
So too.
I actually think if the architect goes ahead and gives us the drawing with the way it's drawn out there with the 5-foot sidewalk, that they'll approve that.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that conceptual drawing shows the sidewalk, and if we could just tell them, if we can have it to the back of the sidewalk, we'll be good. That will allow us to adjust it slightly. We're not going to gain a lot of space, but a little bit would help. So.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else on the right of way at this time? Not, we'll move on to our land acquisition.
that's done, right?
Have y'all heard anything from the closing attorney about closing date or anything like that?
No.
I sent a message yesterday. He told me that he was waiting on getting the purchase option, which I think Tim should have, and the environmental survey. He said
Okay,
that's all he was waiting on.
we got the options done. We can get the option to them, and I will check on the environmental survey where they had to update the paperwork because of time. I will check on that today.
But that's all he said. He was waiting. Said he's ready to go otherwise.
Okay. So really we'll have to get an exact amount from the closing attorney. What if we make a motion to basically have the executive committee approve the exact amount of the funding? Because what we'll have to do is wire wire money into the closing attorney's account. Does that sound reasonable? Once we have the number from the closing attorney, assuming we'll close before the next meeting.
I thought we agreed on that last time.
Did we? I didn't know. I looked at the minutes and I didn't see, so I wasn't for sure.
Well, I remember, because I remember we talked about what it would take to do the closing last time, and the environmental was brought up. That was committed to be done.
Yeah.
We talked about the closing attorneys, wiring them the monies to make sure that and I even went and talked to the closing attorneys to make sure that they talked to you, Tim. I talked to them at Ms. Short and told her, get to your office so that we could get that set up. Well, what went wrong this month?
You know, I think what we done, Judge Vincent, is we laid out the guidelines for us to get the closing done on who was going to pay for the closing costs on it. That was what we got done this time.
Yes. So can you tell him?
I really don't think that we ever officially made a motion to go forward on the payment on it or anything on that and paying on and closing this thing out. We did discuss it, but I don't think we ever did make a motion to that effect. At the last meeting, if you recall, there was discussion on who was going to be paying the closing cost on it. And we met with the Butler County Properties Corporation, and they felt like that the seller should be the ones paying the closing costs. And we got all of that lined out.
Yeah.
But far as us physically making a motion to pay for this, we haven't done.
Can we not come up with the price? And I know from the seller agreed to pay up to a certain amount of $3,000 on closing. Can we not come up with that price and then agree to the selling price plus so we can have this ready to go? Just once we get that amount, Mark, then you can wire it to the closing attorney.
Did you want to make a motion to approve up to a certain amount? Is that what you want to do exactly? And go ahead and make that motion, because what we'll do is if we'll get the option to the closing attorney, and then they'll figure out what the costs are, if you will. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure we got it captured in the minutes that we've approved to do what we need to do, I guess, if you will. Does that make sense?
That way it won't hold us up, and we can go ahead and get this, it'll gain us a month.
What does that
Right.
need to be?
As far as that's why we could either do it. I mean, we could do it a couple of ways. Is if the board's good, we could basically get the amount from the closing attorney. Then Melissa, myself, and Judge Fleener could approve the amount once we got it from the closing attorney. as far as the transfer, and that's not that big a deal if that's what y'all want to do.
Well, I think it'll gain us some time where we're not spinning our wheels. So
Right.
if we need a motion, I move that we go ahead and get the closing cost and what it's going to be and attach it to the purchase price, and go ahead and give approval to get that money wired, so we'll have it all done, and we can, when we close it'll be a done deal.
Right. So is everybody okay with just us approving the exact amount by executive committee?
You need a motion on that, or is that?
Not really. I mean, we can just approve it by executive committee if everybody's okay with that.
I'm good.
Okay.
Mark, I do think that we'll need a motion to that effect for.
Okay. So do y'all want to get a motion to basically have the executive committee approve the final closing cost amount? That's fine with me.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, so I have a motion by Judge Vincent to give the executive committee the authority to approve the purchase amount. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So motion by Judge Vincent. And second by Kevin. And to give the executive committee the authority to approve the closing costs and pay the closing costs. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah, we're basically,
Okay.
we'll approve that amount, and then we'll basically do a disbursement request. And our budget person will work with the bank trustee to get the money wired to the closing attorney's escrow account. This is what we'll do.
All right, is there any discussion on this motion? Not hearing any. All in favor of the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed?
I'll abstain on it just for,
Yes, okay. Judge Coleman abstained from the vote. Okay, motion carries. Okay, is there any other business to bring before the board?
Jeff, let me ask one question. Then assuming we get it this close this month, is there anything the board needs to be thinking about prior to us start talking about the design of the building and whatnot? Or do you think we're okay until we start that process?
I think we're okay. I mean, we just basically need to go ahead. We've already sent, and I can resend it if I need to, but we already sent some preliminary information ways back to the judges and clerk about, what we normally discuss when we get that started, just to kind of get their minds wrapped around what the process is. So
Okay.
if you can't find that, or I know it's been a while, just let me know and we can resend it. But that'd be the first thing, is just to kind of have everybody think about, here are the things we'll be discussing initially before we get started. So,
Mr. Gregory, I have replaced the judge that you would have sent all that to. And,
okay, yeah,
and he did not give me that. So can you send it?
okay, I'll look it up, and I'm not you're probably on an email list here. Can't say I've looked for it, but I'm guessing you must be somewhere on here. I would just need to email it to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Since it's been forever, do you care to just send it to all of us again, please?
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, I'll just resend the whole email, and this time include Judge Vincent.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
And then I also want to bring up one other item for everybody. So just to make sure everybody's aware, AOC basically has asked for an increase in use allowance for all the projects we have just about. And so the House has passed that unanimously. It's House Bill 455. But the Senate has yet to approve it. And basically they're down to the last 2 days. So I just want to let everybody know that's where we are in the process. Danny and our budget person, Carol, budget director, Carol Henderson, they're supposed to meet with the Senate leadership, I believe, this morning on a matter to try to explain why we're asking for their increases and whatnot. So I just want to let everybody know that that's still in play.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has any questions on it.
Well,
We basically upgraded or, upped our estimated cost of construction based on primarily off of our actual cost we received off the Oldham County, that just bid out late last fall, and they're just now doing initial foundation work. So that's what we did.
Mark, on the ones that I talked to yesterday about this, it didn't sound like they were looking to do anything with this bill this time. That they were going to wait till next year before they done it.
Yeah, so what they, just so you know, so like, basically when they approve a project, they know that we don't need funding immediately to pay, basically paying the annual bond payment. So every time they go in a budget session, basically AOC updates when they'll start needing to make a bond payment based on where we are with the project. So if they know they're going to be in at a certain point, they're going to start making a bond pay, they'll say, this is when we're going to need the money. So all they basically are doing right now is ask for the authorization to increase the amount. They haven't asked and said, we're going to need the money now. So they basically asked for them to have the authorization now, assuming that the General Assembly will make whatever financial change next year in the budget session. Just so you know, that's so it's not like they're having to fork out any money right now. It would be down the road, if you will. So, but the issue is like, say, for some of these other projects, well, it's like any of the projects. So in all the projects right now, we've got this temporary financing. Well, that stuff's only usually good for a certain period of time. It's just like a note. The note ends up expiring. You have to either re-up the note or you got to pay off the note. So if they basically put all the projects on hold, we got to either pay off these temporary financing or we got to renew the financing at a higher rate because the rates have gone up since a lot of these were financed. So there's a lot of different things in play with all that. Just so you know.
We'll give Steve Meredith a call.
Yeah. All right.
So
Thank you, Mark.
no problem. And Judge Fleener, I'm pretty sure you sent me a copy. You sent me a copy of the option. I have the closing attorney's email. I'll send him a copy of the option and I'll check on our environmental update this morning.
Yeah, that's what Chris was, when I spoke to him last week on it, that's what he was waiting on, was the environmental part.
Okay. And I'll copy you on it just so you know what's going on. Okay.
Okay. All right. Our next item is to schedule our next meeting.
So it's the next meeting's on the 19th of April. It's our next regular meeting.
Okay. Does that date work for everyone? At 8 a.m. And I'm assuming by Zoom again also, Mark?
That's fine, probably. It's no problem.
Okay. So our next meeting will be April the 19th at 8 a.m. by Zoom. I want to thank everyone for this morning, taking your time out of y'all's busy day. I know everyone's covered up right now, but I appreciate your time this morning. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Melissa,
Second.
second by Judge Coleman. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
We're adjourned. Hope everyone has a great day.